Okay, check it out. Alright, I was reading Numbers, right? The book of Numbers. And this is where Moses has taken the children of Israel out of Egypt. And they're all walking around in the desert. So they get to the area where it's Canaan, land of Canaan. Now, if you remember early Genesis, Canaan was anyway, he was cursed by Noah. Canaan was Noah's grandkid because his dad did something pretty bad. Anyway, long story there. So Caleb and Joshua and 10 other guys, one guy each representing each tribe, they went into Canaan and spied out the land. So the 12 spies from Israel were walking around in Canaan. And they were walking around, spying out the land. After 40 days, they came back. And so Moses is like, well, tell me what happened. And so Joshua and Caleb both said, hey man, let's go take possession of it. And everybody else said, oh no, they're stronger than us. Oh, they're too strong. So anyway, they said, we saw giants, we saw people who were too tall, and they were just going to beat us up, so we decided that we shouldn't go in. Now, they had seen all these miracles that God did for them, the 10 plagues, the parting of the Reed Sea or the Red Sea, you know, all these other great, wonderful, awesome things. So then they're like, no, we can't go in, take it. Anyway, so Caleb decides and Joshua decides that they can do it. So what happens to Caleb? That's my plan here. So God's talking to Moses later, and he's saying, because all these men who have seen my glory and the signs which I did in Egypt and the wilderness have put me to the test, now 10 times have not heeded my voice. They surely shall not see the land which I swore to their fathers, nor shall any of those who rejected me see it. But my servant Caleb, he has seen a different spirit in him. He has followed me fully. I will bring him into the land where he went, and his descendants shall inherit it. Now that's Numbers chapter 14, verse 24. And again, verse 30, he says, the carcasses of you who have complained against me shall fall in the wilderness, all of you who were numbered according to your entire number for 20 years old and above, except for Caleb the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua the son of Nun. You shall by no means enter the land which I swore to you to make it. So, pretty much the only 2 guys, besides Moses, which we find out later Moses can't even get in there because he numbered people. No, Moses got mad one day. God said to him, speak to a rock and it'll spring forth water. So Moses took a stick and hit it, and God got mad. God got mad at Moses a lot, like 3 times that I know of. But anyway, and so God said to Moses, you can't go in either. So pretty much the only 2 old guys over 20 are Caleb and Joshua. So Joshua turns out to be the next leader of the Israelites, the Israelis at the time. And they go in, once they cross, you know, into the land of Canaan, they pretty much destroy everybody. Jericho, Ai, the Amalekites, you know, some of the Philistines, all those people, you know. So Caleb is a cool guy. Caleb is my hero, one of my heroes. So we find out later, way far in, all the way in Numbers, the end of Numbers chapter 26, you know, and God's pretty much laying down the laws of the land for all the Jews to follow. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Here's what you should do if this happens, this is what you should do if this happens, blah, 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 blah. So it's Numbers 26, chapter 26, verse 65. For the Lord had said of them, they shall surely die in the wilderness. So there was none left a man of them except for Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun. So it happened. Pretty much everybody's dead. Everybody under 20 at that point. And now they're older. And then the only 2 old guys left are Caleb and Joshua. Why? Because they had a different perspective. A paradigm shift. So that's what happens. So they get into the land. Moses dies. He's 120 years old. He's dead, sitting on the mountain looking at, the land. And so Caleb and Joshua get in there, fight, and pretty much everything's done. So now it's time to settle the land. And then we find what happens to Caleb in Joshua 14. Caleb inherits the mountain of Hebron. All he wanted was a mountain. So he says in chapter 14, verse 10, "And now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years ever since the Lord spoke the word to Moses while Israel wandered in the wilderness. Here I am, 85 years old. And yet I am as strong as this day as the day that Moses sent me. Just as my strength was then, so now is my strength for war, both going in and coming out. Now therefore give me this mountain of which the Lord spoke on that day. For you heard on that day now that," and it can Joshua blessed him and gave Hebron to Caleb the son of Jephunneh, can't say that word right, as an inheritance. Bingo. That's it. That's what happens to Caleb. He was obedient. He had a different idea. He knew what he wanted. He went and got what he wanted and had a successful life. Pretty amazing. Anyway, that's the little story of Caleb, and it's kind of buried inside of the first 5 books of the Bible. Moses wrote those first 5 books, Pentateuch. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. But then Joshua finishes it up with writing about him in what we call Joshua chapter 14. So that's it. Story of Caleb. Because I was wondering one day why, people name their kids whatever, and Caleb came up, and so I was like, oh, I wonder how that happened. Why is Caleb such a great guy? But anyway, he is a great guy. The end.